Hi, Steve Gamache here with a Chef Knives to Go quick look product video. On this one, we're going to look at the Gassan Aogami Blue Paper number 2 Gyuto 210mm. So this line of knives has a core steel, as mentioned, of Aogami or Blue Paper number 2 carbon steel. The heat treat rating is about 62 Rockwell on that. And the construction is a stainless steel cladding over the top of that blue number 2. So it has a softer stainless cladding over the top of that core steel, and you can see the edge steel exposed right there. And you've got some kind of hammering remnants left as well for an interesting finish. So it's a matte finish on the cladding. And like I said, a little bit of hammering indentations to it as well. And you've got some embossed kanji on it as well. It's an interesting looking knife. The weight on this is 6.6 ounces, about 188 grams, and the blade length on this particular one is fairly oversized at 220 millimeters, so I guess these will vary a little bit. The overall length, 13.6 on this particular model, and the spine at the base on this is about 2.5 millimeters right above the heel. It slims out a little bit, pretty much maintains that over the length, but then when you hit the grind, it does thin out towards the tip. So this is kind of typical of a lot of these hammered, handmade knives. The height on this is pretty generous at almost 55 millimeters, 54.75. These will vary a little bit per sample again, so it's a fairly tall blade. The handle is kind of a hybrid Western wah handle of Packawood, so it's got kind of a semi-full tang to it with a couple of rivets in it as well. The handle is actually pretty comfortable. It doesn't have a true bolster on it, but it's got a fair amount of a wah feel to it. You don't really have a gap between the handle. It's more of a Western style where it goes right into the heel, or I should say choil of the blade. The fit and finish on this knife is pretty good. It's nicely done at the spine. The choil area could probably be relieved a little bit. It's a little sharp for my taste on the edges, but overall the blade's got a high crafted feel to it. And the profile on this blade is fairly flat. It's actually quite flat. Kind of reminds me of the Kajihara Kurouchi. So it's got a pretty long flat section and not a whole lot of belly to it. It really reminds me of a 210 Santoku, to be honest with you. It's kind of the feel of the knife and the look of the knife, in my personal opinion. The knife is actually quite thin at the edge. I'm actually very impressed with all these Gassan blades. I've handled the one, I think it's a 180 Santoku / Gyuto, and then another one that's a Santoku. And so all three of them have been very, very good performers. They're quite thin at the edge, and you can never tell what a knife's going to do. You might have a similar profile on one blade versus another where you carry a fair amount of thickness into the tip, but this tip goes through things extremely well, better than I would have expected given what I see on the geometry of the thickness of the spine. So that does not always tell the tale. And this one goes through ingredients extremely well. It's a very high performance blade. It's got a nice feel to it. It's tall, so if you're looking for a tall blade, it's not super heavy, but it's not super light. It's kind of a middleweight. The balance point on it is pretty much almost right on the money for a pinch grip. There it is. And there's your pinch, so it's right there. So it does make it feel pretty nimble in hand. And like I said, this is a really nice performing blade. Out of the box edge is okay. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. It didn't have the most even bevels on it, but I went ahead and took it to a stone, and the core steel sharpened beautifully on this. And it took a screaming sharp edge in no time at all. So this is an easy knife to sharpen, especially with the flatter profile without a lot of belly. It sharpens easily, I should say more easily than something with a lot of curve to it, especially in the tip area. And so I can highly recommend this blade. It's a great performer. It's an interesting looking knife. And while the handle's not the most fancy, prettiest handle in the world, it is a comfortable knife out of the box and will get a lot of work done in a high performance fashion. So there you have the Gassan Aogami, a blue number 2 Gyuto 210mm.